Life Audio.
Oh, welcome to the show. Welcome to Billy and the Goat. Our show is all about overcoming life's challenges, overcoming adversity. Sometimes I share with you my own personal battles in life, hoping to help many of you in and out of your struggles. And sometimes we have a guest. Today, we have a guest. Her name is Brianna Speelman. She is a very special guest, I might add. We'll be right back.
This summer will be the most fun and safest with swim lessons from British Swim School. Offering swim lessons to babies and kids across the U.S., British Swim School gives you the confidence to let your little ones enjoy pools and lakes safely. British Swim School has highly trained instructors who specialize in fun and gentle teaching in a small class environment. Sign up for classes now at BritishSwimSchool.com. That's BritishSwimSchool.com. British Swim School. Make a splash.
What happens when a writer and former history teacher goes toe-to-toe with his best friend, a nationally touring stand-up comedian? Total carnage, that's what. 2 men enter and 2 men leave because that's how it works.
Actually, you get hilarious, real, and insightful conversations about life, history, culture, faith, and everything in between.
Join me, comedian Johnny W., and my pal, author and speaker John Driver for Talk About That at lifeaudio.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Learning to swim is fun. British Swim School is welcoming all new students to start their journey in the world of water. The team of highly trained experts at British Swim School will show your little fish all the ins and outs of life in the water, while also sharing valuable knowledge on water safety. So, is it time for your kids to get their feet wet? Sign them up now at BritishSwimSchool.com. That's BritishSwimSchool.com. British Swim School. Make a splash.
Have you ever found yourself in a moment with your loved ones where you were there, but you weren't all there?
Let's be honest, we've all given our leftovers to our biggest fans instead of our best.
For Dr. Josh and Christy Straub, marriage and leadership coaches and host of the Famous at Home podcast.
With a realistic, grace-filled look at the struggles families face, we cover topics designed to help you become a rock star under your roof, set healthy rhythms between work and home, and build a rock-solid marriage.
Because the greatest red carpet you'll ever walk is through your front door.
Welcome back to the show. Brianna grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia with her parents, Wayne and Cheryl Speelman. You may recall me talking about her late father, Wayne, in previous episodes. Amazing, amazing man. Brianna graduated from Gateway Christian Academy here in Virginia Beach, where they, and I quote, train young people spiritually, academically, socially, and physically. After graduating from Gateway, Brianna went on to Virginia Wesleyan College, which is in Virginia Beach also. She made the decision to drop out of college shortly thereafter to help her best friend and family open and launch a pretty big houseplant company called Plant House. She has a lot of responsibility there. Wow. Brianna's favorite hobbies are work. Imagine that. Her father was a workaholic. We'll talk about that more later. She takes a lot of pride in what she does. If she is not working, then Brianna is probably in with her dogs, exploring her new town in North Carolina, where she just moved, or hanging out with friends and family. Brianna, welcome to the show. You there, Brianna?
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Your goals are to continue developing your passionate leaders like yourself and help them reach their full potential. Brianna says, I have my hand in developing leaders in my current role, and I love every moment of it. A 5-year goal of hers is to own a few rental properties and open an event venue. Brianna already has 1 rental property. Congratulations on that. That's awesome, Brianna. And plans to add a couple more next year. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, girl. I mean, you're already doing it big.
Trying.
What are we? Yeah, you're doing it. I mean, how old are you? How old are you?
26.
26. 26.
I just turned 26.
Just turned 26.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Just turned 26.
Trying to do the thing.
Yeah, you're doing it. I mean, you already have one property here back in Virginia Beach, right? Now you're in North Carolina, just moved to North Carolina a few weeks ago. That's awesome. Congratulations. Let's start.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been crazy.
I bet. Let's start with Gateway Christian Academy. How'd you like that?
Yeah, I went there my entire life. So kindergarten until 12th grade, I graduated high school from Gateway. That's actually where Dad went. So when they moved to Virginia Beach, that's where he went.
Wow. I had no idea. I mean, I'm learning as we go. So obviously, I guess you liked it. I mean, from kindergarten to 12th grade?
It's a very small school, so I was one of 14. So when I graduated high school, I had only 14 people in my class. So I graduated top 15. That was pretty cool, for sure. But
That's awesome.
It was cool. I had actually a lot of the same classmates from kindergarten until high school. I think in 9th grade, we ended up getting 2 or 3 more students in our class, and that's how we got up to 14. But most of us were together from kindergarten until we graduated. So it's a very small, close-knit community. But yeah.
Wow. That's special. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Maryland. And I went to all-board private school from 5th to 12th. You went from 3rd to 12th. I thought my class was small. I had 67 kids in my class. She has 15. Wow.
I don't think there were even 67 people in my high school when we were there. Like when I graduated, I don't think there were even 67 from 9th grade to 12th grade. You know, it's such a small school. So
that's very rare. So you graduated from what year? From Gateway?
2015.
15.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yep.
You have 3 dogs. We heard them. Yeah, we heard them barking. Kaya, Beasley, and Lager.
Yes. I've done.
Oh my gosh.
Girl.
Little gang.
Air trip. I'm actually, there's 3 of them and only 1 of me. So I've actually gotten all 3 dogs from different people. So I think they found me, but there's a lot of them. 3 of them's a lot. I thought it wouldn't be that many, but it is.
How do you manage that?
A lot of patience, and my cousin Autumn, she helps a lot. She's always there with the dogs and playing with them, and so it's helpful for sure.
So it just works out. That's awesome.
So I had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, I had one from my mom's friends when I moved out of mom's house, and it's a little dog. I got her about like 7 years ago, and then I swear at Plant House, and then in November I just adopted the 3rd dog who my other cousin was fostering, and so when she was fostering her, she brought her over to play with my dogs, and they all got along. So I just adopted the 3rd one as well. So it's been a lot, but it's been fun. They all have their own little personalities.
I bet. You go, girl. That's a lot. You got a little family there. So after Gateway, you went to Virginia Wesleyan, and after Virginia Wesleyan, how long were you at Virginia Wesleyan?
I would say about a year. I started my 2nd year, but left in the beginning the 1st semester of my 2nd year. So I was in that 2nd year.
And you left to work with your friends. They opened a business, right? Plant House.
I did, yes. I have always been the one to choose work a little bit more than school, which, had its fair share of struggles when you're supposed to be graduating school and all those things. but I ended up leaving. I ended up going to work more than I was going to class. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to take a break from school and just help see, you know, kind of where this journey takes me with Bailey and her family, and ended up dropping out of school, and I haven't looked back since. I tried to go back a couple times to school, but I've always got back into work instead. So
That's so interesting.
Virginia, it's funny because I believe it or not, we were touring Virginia Wesleyan and Dad said something about the landscaping. It was like, oh, they have like great landscaping here. And I don't know if that surprises anybody, but yeah, he was very thoroughly impressed with the grounds there and thought that would be a good school to go to because of it. So, you know, after everything happened with Dad passing away, it felt like a good one to go to. It's closer to Mom. It was only about 15 minutes from Mom's house. And so it was nice to kind of be able to go back and forth, but still have that like on campus feel. So that was really fun. But ultimately ended up deciding to leave to go out here with Plant House, and it's taken me pretty far ever since then, that's for sure.
Well, you know, to hear you say you preferred work over school, I'm not surprised because your parents are workaholics. So no wonder.
They are.
Oh my God.
Right. And we need to tell Mom that, because she says, you know, she wants me to go back to school sometimes. I'm like, you work just as much as, you know, you and Dad both work so much. Like, that's where I'm getting it from. I'm not coming up with this on my own. So yeah.
Well, thank God, you know, I just think about there's so many people, and you can relate to this, not necessarily relate to this, but understand this. There's so many people that don't want to work. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. How people don't want to work, you know, and it's not just the young generation. It's a lot of people just lazy.
You know, we turned Plant House from a plant importing business into retail, and trying to find people to work in the retail industry is very hard. You know, a lot of people don't want to, like you mentioned, they don't want to work, or, you know, they don't have a drive for it or a passion for it. So even when they are working, sometimes it's not like ideal, you know. You need somebody helpful and reliable, and sometimes people just like to work for paychecks too, which is understandable. But yeah, I definitely have always had a passion to work, so it's a little different for me, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like you're going in two different directions. You know, the way we were raised, but, you know, in home, both parents work. Go figure. The daughter, the only child. I'm an only child too. I get it. I love being an only child. But yeah, so you understand it can be frustrating. Plant House, you have a lot of responsibility. Aren't you? You're a manager? You manage the people and stores, I think, right?
Yes. So I am in charge of all 10 of our operating locations and their management teams there on site. And then I also do the training, hiring, staffing, and store sets at our new outs. So when we open new stores, Bailey and I go out, we help with the physical build out, like the shelving and all of the displays and those things. We do store sets where we put all the product in place. We work with a lot of plants, of course. We bring in plants from Florida every single week to all of our stores. So overseeing plants and things like that. I basically oversee operations for the company as far as like that side goes. So I have my hand in leading and managing our managers that are on staff. But we currently have, I believe, 94 employees across all 10 locations, our warehouse, and our office space. So
that is intense.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a big effort, especially because when I first started working with them, it was just me, Bailey, and her parents. And now we range anywhere from over 100 employees to about that 90 employee mark, just depending on the time of the season, the retail season. So it's been a heavy growth over the last few years, for sure.
Wow. Good for you.
But it's a lot of fun. Plants and people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great.
It's right up your alley.
A lot of fun. It definitely is. Yeah.
It's interesting to see, you know, where you are. There's obviously some connection. Your dad was an outdoorsman. love to be, out in the yard, if you will, or working on his car. Let's talk about you, Dad. And, I'm not surprised at all, the path you're on right now, because I'm sure it weighs very, very closely to your parents. You want to talk about that? Is it purposeful? Do you recognize how much you have in common with, your parents, your dad, your mom, and your dad?
I definitely do. Managers about it yesterday when I was in our South Carolina store. I was mentioning the fact that, I remember growing up at Gateway, we had to play a lot of sports because, team, or else you don't have a team. So a lot of us played sports. So, I would think about these times where I would go and I would have these games and, Dad would be working, but he would stop and he would show up and he would still be in his, sweatpants and t-shirt and, come into Gateway and watch the games, or, come up on the lawnmower when he was doing the yards or doing the grounds at the school. And he would stop and ride the, lawnmower over to a soccer game or something. And, my mom was never shy of missing a game and things like that. She always would make t-shirts and stuff with my sports number and name and stuff on it. She was my little number one fan. And it was just funny to me because we were talking about how, they work so hard, and it was such it's a blessing to be able to have parents to look up to like that. I think that I lucked out. I don't think everybody has the opportunity to have parents like I did. They always provided for me. They were always there for me, but they were always working so hard. Even now, Mom works multiple jobs. She's always volunteered places. She volunteers with the food bank. She was volunteering with the Sandler Center, and they promoted her to ask her to work there with them while she still works her job that she's had for, over 15, 20 years. Wow. And, she works at the amphitheater in the summer because she likes working with her friends and helping there. They've always worked so hard. And you knew my dad, if he wasn't, working on somebody's house or painting or doing the grounds, he was helping somebody family or friends with their projects at their house before he was doing anything for himself. And I definitely see that now. I feel like nowadays it gets called out on me a little bit more probably than it did on his or Mom, but it's definitely where the drive comes from. I can't sit still. I can't watch things decline or do any like I was talking to you about the yard. I feel like Dad would still strike me with lightning probably if my yard didn't look good now. But I think it's just I had that opportunity to have really great parents that work so hard. I definitely have two incredible parents. It's been a blessing, but my work ethic is definitely from both of them, even though, I don't think Mom sees it. So I think she wonders why I work so much and do too much, but she does the same thing. So I try to tell her that.
Yeah. Well, Mom's just being Mom. Oh my gosh. So obviously there's some really strong faith in your family, in you, your dad, Mom. Have you always had a really strong faith? Even when you were at Gateway, is that where things kind of increased as far as being faithful, having faith? So recognizing that you went into Gateway and coming from parents with really, really strong faith, your faith, was that through Gateway? Was it primarily home, Mom and Dad, or kind of a combination of all three?
I would say it was definitely a combination. I think my parents were, I think my parents had their beliefs in the way that we did things at home really correlated a lot with how I was raised at Gateway as well. So I would say it's kind of a combination of everything. When I was at Gateway, I had the opportunity to listen to a lot of guest speakers. So you get, insight from other people as well as just the people you were raised with and the people you're around, all the time. There's even somebody that came to Gateway years ago that's still one of my favorite speakers and one of my favorite leaders that I listen to his podcast weekly, he definitely influenced me, and he still influences me and to this day, in my role that I have now. It's John Max, and I remember him speaking. I remember him speaking at Gateway, and that kind of moving me at that time, and it's just something that had always kind of stuck with me. And I think years later, I discovered his podcast and realized it was the same person and was like, wow, this is funny, because now I listen to John Maxwell's leadership podcast every week. So I would say definitely a combination of many things. I think I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people that had a good influence on my faith as well, just friends and, colleagues and stuff from other schools. And I think it's kind of just a combination of everything. But definitely mom and dad, establishing that base was before I even got to school at Gateway. So,
right.
Yeah.
Now, as far as handling, stress and just, stuff, that's what helped you. I mean, I'm thinking out of the box. Grades, the stresses of high school, the stresses of work. You were able to use your faith to lean on God, right? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Definitely in my time at school and when everything was going on with that and everything like that, it's definitely something I could lean on for sure. I think that, school is just never my strong suit. I feel bad equating that to, my faith a little bit, but, I definitely feel like it was definitely influential for sure.
You know what? I think everyone's path, obviously, is different. There's probably people that went to school who probably should have taken your path and vice versa. People that took your path and should have, spent more time in education. But the best part about it all is you found your way. You found the sweet spot. Question. Whenever you were stressed about stuff, school, work, life, friends, who was your go-to? Who's your go-to?
I would say my mom is my go-to. So I call her and I say, okay, I need to talk you through something, or I need you to hear me out. And she starts laughing. And that's kind of how I always open the phone call. I always say, okay, hear me out. And she's like, oh no, right? She's always like, oh no. But she's my go-to. She's definitely my peace in a storm. She's always got I feel like now our relationship is like, she can always kind of calm me down or settle me down or like talk me through things. I know when I was growing up that she was stressed a lot in our relationship. Now is much different than it was when I was growing up. But now I crack up because I'll call her and we joke because I said if she doesn't pick up on the first time and it goes to voicemail, I'm like, I'm your only kid. What else? Like, who else are you talking to that you can't answer my phone call, Mom? And she tries to get me. She tries to call me and do the same thing, and I think it's really funny. So she'll be like, oh, I hope it goes to voicemail so I can tell you that you shouldn't be. You only have one mom. You should pick up for me every time. So she's my peace in every storm. That's for sure. That is my go-to and my best friend. So
that's hilarious. I'm sorry. That's hilarious. I mean, people see it's even funny because I know your mom. A lot of people don't know your mom, right? She's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. Oh man. Let's talk about your dad. Your dad was amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, your dad was amazing. Your dad is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. Father, friend, worker, husband, man of God. I think his favorite scripture, and I have it up, correct me if I'm wrong, he must be greater. He must become greater, I must become less. John 3:30. Yeah. Many years ago, that it didn't have the same meaning to me many years ago that it does today. And that was 100% your dad. I just wanted to share with you, like he helped put my gym together. Like my gym was a bar. It was an old, wretched, nasty bar for like 30 years. And your dad brought it, like I helped tear stuff out, get it out of here. And your dad put his hands on it and was like, it's amazing where the gym is, where I am, where, he was, and wasn't just with the gym. Like, he was like that, I think, for everyone, whatever he did. If he's doing someone's lawn, working on a car, what have you. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree. That was one of the most selfless men I've ever, I like I mentioned before, it was a blessing to watch parents like mine, someone so selfless, someone so caring, to 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. until, 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and get home and shower and go right back out and help somebody else. I remember when he was helping you at the gym, I think Mom and I came up there a couple times to see what you guys were up to. But he always had someone else or something else on his mind. I don't think he ever, I don't think he was ever the kind of person that would put himself first. Like, I think about this, I know this is probably really lame, but he has the same lunchbox, the same plastic igloo lunchbox for my entire time growing up. That he never bought himself a new lunchbox. Like, he's like, something is like, he was never one for himself. And I think that was always such an incredible thing. And you mentioned his favorite verse that really, really helped him get through his battle with cancer. He was always like, oh, well, he's in control, so we're just going to do what we can. And, he was always in that mindset of like, God's greater than me and my struggles. He's going to do what he needs to do or what we need to do, and we're just going to keep it moving. And I can remember, Mom taking him to doctor's appointments, and after doctor's appointments with rounds of chemo, him going to somebody's house and helping them with something, or going back to work or whatever, thinking of somebody else all the time. It was crazy. So anytime he wanted anything, we had to get it for him because he never asked for anything. So,
Right. Oh my God.
But yeah.
I mean, he was selfless. And to a fault. Like, he wouldn't even talk disparagingly about anyone. Now, this is out in public. I laugh about this because I don't know what he was like when he got home, but like, I would say, hey, so-and-so is a real jerk, or blah, 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 or something that wronged him, or this, that, and the other, right? And the most I could get out of him was, that was like, he would just make that noise.
Yep.
That's I'm like, that. Yep.
That's
me. If it's me, I'm going off the rails. That mother, blah, 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 blah.
Nope.
Right? I'm just like,
my dad.
I'm like, what are you, a robot? What is going on? Yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing.
That makes more sense.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he didn't even like talk about people in a poor way, like at home. It was never different back.
Yeah, but he lived it. Like, he lived how God expects, wants, encourages us to live. Like, he lived it. And I'm so grateful to him, because where I am mentally and spiritually, and this podcast, right? This podcast, along with where like the gym is headed, has everything to do with your dad and the development of just, I'm so grateful, to him for that.
Learning to swim is fun. British Swim School is welcoming all new students to start their journey in the world of water. The team of highly trained experts at British Swim School will show your little fish all the ins and outs of life in the water, while also sharing valuable knowledge on water safety. So, is it time for your kids to get their feet wet? Sign them up now at BritishSwimSchool.com. That's BritishSwimSchool.com. British Swim School. Make a splash.
Hey there, it's Nicole Eunice, host of the How to Study the Bible podcast, where every single week we join together to encounter God through His Word. You can subscribe at lifeaudio.com.
He passed on June 4th, 2015. I know it was a surprise to everyone. I remember talking to your mom, like, you were supposed to start working out again with me the following week, I think that Monday. And they said he was going to, he had the doctor's appointment, and he went to the doctor's appointment, and it just everything just went south. I had no idea. I actually went to your house to see how he was doing, check up on him, and there was a young lady sitting on the porch, and I said, "Hey, I'm here to see Wayne." And she says, "Oh, sir, I'm sorry. Wayne passed away." And I just lost it right there. And I never knew, what happened, how, obviously it was traumatic for you. Did you have the same go-to to help you through that time?
Yeah, for me now, thinking back to it, the first thing I would say is, in a selfish way, I of course would never want to lose my dad, right? That's the coolest dude I've ever met in my life. Like, I would not want to lose him, but to have 10 years with somebody who was battling with cancer, I remember in third grade when they came to the school to tell me that dad was diagnosed with cancer. They took me out of class to tell me that he only had a couple months to live. So when he passed away a week before I graduated high school, yes, I'm I heartbroken and a lot of emotions, but knowing it now, years later, knowing he's not suffering. I mean, living through, it was definitely something that it was very tough. I mean, I remember that week, we had a photo together from, I think I was little. I don't even think I was in school yet. And we were at the park at the front of the neighborhood. And it was me and my dad sitting in the swings, in the baby swings. And we were like, oh, how cool would it be if we remade that photo? And we said that for years and years. And so Monday morning when my mom came home with dad and asked me to help him into the house because he wasn't feeling very well, later that night we went and took the picture, which was so weird to me because for years we'd been talking about the same photo, just recreating this photo with him. And we went there I think the night before he actually got back and was sick. We went there the night before, took the photo, went fishing, that next morning that was it. But it was just so strange to me that we got to remake that photo, after all those years. And I could have missed it so many times, if he was only supposed to live a couple months and I got him for 10 years, there could have been any point in time where he wasn't going to be there anymore. And so it was definitely a shock for sure. But it just now looking back at it, I was so blessed to have him there up until the very last minute that it was definitely hard. It definitely took a hit on my faith for sure. Definitely didn't really understand why God would take someone like him away. That was kind of the really hard piece of that. But, I think now, looking back at it, growing from that moment, I miss him every day. It makes me so happy that you still think of him and that he's still at the forefront of your mind, because sometimes it's hard.
Your strength, and your mom, of course, your strength through all this, it's amazing. It's amazing. He battled that cancer for 10 years?
It was 10 years, yep.
And yeah, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, the type of cancer that he had, people don't really live past a couple months. Right. So he's definitely a miracle case.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
His faith has everything to do with that, And thank God you took that picture. I would love to see that picture. I'm so that's very.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. It was very cool.
I appreciate that. I cannot thank you enough for how much you all have touched my life. Man, I remember coming over a few times, just being present, just coming to your home and hanging out and fellowship, and it's incredible. Just powerful, and your parents have not only been not necessarily there for you, but examples of how to do life, live life, not just for you, but also for me and so many other people, you know? And that I've said this many times, I'm sure you heard it, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Your dad, your mom, your parents are incredible, and so are you. Is there anything else you would like to share that most people don't know, or that you'd like to highlight about your dad?
I think I'd like to just highlight one more thing about my parents. I think that when Dad passed away, Mom, she had to bury over half of her heart with him. That was her best friend. Took him to every doctor's appointment. She was there every time he was sick. She was there, if he was out, working, and she had to bring him stuff. Like that was her other half. She'd probably argue her better half. But it's such a blessing to be able to look up to parents like that. I can't stress that enough, because I do know that I'm very lucky to have parents that like mine. I think that, with Dad being so selfless and such a hard worker, and Mom always giving back to the community and always working so hard, it's easy to, it would be an honor to be half the people that they are. I mean, honestly, it's what they do is beyond words. And I feel like now that I'm older, I'm getting a better understanding of that. Having a dad so never let anybody feel that way, He never let anybody feel like they were an inconvenience or a bother. I've really taken the course in life of life is way too short for grudges, for unhappy moments, for people that are doing you wrong, or people that don't want to do the right things around you. I feel like that path has been put in front of me, and it's something that I live daily now. It's just life is too short. So I guess I'd say take the picture that you want to take, because you never know when your last chance is to take it, and your parents a little tighter, because you don't know the last time you're going to get to give them a hug. So yeah, that's what I'd say. It's an honor to be, because there's some big names to live up to. So
absolutely. That, oh my goodness, thank you so much for those words. God bless you. Thank you so much for being who you are, and the version of God and what God wants you to be, and also the version your parents have raised you, to be, because quite frankly, you really don't have to, like you could go the other way and just, right? Growing up like your parents encourage you and how they work, and you taking those types of responsibilities onto yourself. That's not easy. It's not easy.
It's tiring sometimes. I don't know how they made it look so easy, but no.
But you know what? You're doing the same thing right now. You're a younger, smaller version of what your parents have been doing, and I commend you. We commend you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Are there any parting words for? Absolutely. I have one last question. Any parting words for anyone going through pain, loss, that may be similar to what you have experienced? What has helped you get through?
I would say one thing that I have learned is that the pain itself doesn't go away. I thought maybe years down the line it would hurt less to lose somebody. You'd get more used to it. Mm-hmm. I think we just, that pain is always there. We're always missing that person, but you surround yourself with people or things that make your life happier. It's okay to still miss somebody. There's no expiration date really on missing somebody, I would say. I think that was my hardest struggle, was understanding how long can I miss my dad? Like how, it's been 7 years, 8 years now. How often am I allowed to bring him up? And there's just no expiration date on grief, I would say. You can always miss them, can always feel that loss, but you just really surround yourself with things that make you happy, that kind of balance that out. I guess I would just say, without it being too weird, it's okay to be sad about it sometimes. It doesn't go away. No, it just means they're not forgotten. So.
Amen. My mom and dad pastor a church in West Virginia, and they say, my mom specifically says, there is no time limit on grief. People can grieve as long as they want. So yeah, you absolutely. Thank you so much for that. We're going to end on that. I appreciate your words. I appreciate you taking this time to, share about what's going on in your life, and, also talking about your biggest loss, in your life. Thank you so much. People will be able to benefit from this. God bless you, Bree. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Allow me to take a moment to thank the team at Life Audio for their partnership with us on the podcast. If you go to lifeaudio.com, you will find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in their network. They've got shows about prayer, Bible study, parenting, and much, much more.
Learning to swim is fun. British Swim School is welcoming all new students to start their journey in the world of water. The team of highly trained experts at British Swim School will show your little fish all the ins and outs of life in the water, while also sharing valuable knowledge on water safety. So, is it time for your kids to get their feet wet? Sign them up now at BritishSwimSchool.com. That's BritishSwimSchool.com. British Swim School. Make a splash.